Hi everyone, welcome back to my next video. I'm sitting here today with my good friend Suanne.
Hello.
And you have seen her in the last two videos that I put out. I'm showing you just some of the work she's been doing for the community, for cheap RV living, and for the tribe we're trying to create. And today we're going to actually talk about the nonprofit. Suanne is going to be the executive director of the nonprofit, and we're actually going to, later on in the video, at the end of the video, we're actually looking to hire a person to work for the nonprofit as an administrative assistant, and we're also asking your help in a name. So at the end of the video, I'm going to I'll talk about those things. Until then, I just want to give you a really brief history of CRVL, so you know the background, and that will also kind of explain where Suanne has been involved behind the scenes for a long time.
Yes.
Really long time. Very involved. Most of you haven't seen her, which is why I did those two videos. So here is a very brief history of CRVL. I'll put up that history on the screen so you can see it. Okay, back in 2005, I started the website, cheaprvliving.com. I started the website because I wanted to communicate to people there was a better way to live, and what I thought was a better way to live, a less expensive, a more natural way to live. And so that went along for a while, and then in 2008 and 2009 we had the economic crash, and that kind of changed everything. Van dwelling, living in cars, vans, and RVs exploded because people were losing their jobs, they lost their homes, then they lost their apartments, and then they were facing being homeless. So they went to the webs, they went to Google and Googled, how do I live in my car, how do I live in a van, how do I live really cheap? And they found cheap RV living. So my website exploded. And when that exploded, and I saw this enormous need for people to have an option of another way to live, I wanted to do more. I said, how can I help people more than I am now? And so in 2010, we had a gathering, and you were at that gathering.
I was.
That's the first time we met.
That is.
And that was in Pahrump, Nevada. There were 13 of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still in touch with most all of them.
Yes.
Yes. We're still friends.
A couple of them are in the near vicinity with us right now.
Right, yeah. And so, you know, I saw the power of that gathering of community, and that what really needed to happen was a way for people to meet. So the following year, in January of 2011, I was the first official Rubber Tramp Rendezvous, a large gathering. Well, it wasn't very large then.
40 people.
40 people, and you were there.
I was.
And you've been to nearly, not all.
Not all, because of family issues.
Right.
Yes, but almost all.
Almost all. Well, so and also that year in 2011, I created the forum because I wanted a better way for people to interact. Once a year at the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous was a good thing, but it was better if they could interact, you know, daily. And you can go on I know many people, and you're a moderator. You were a moderator, started then.
In 2011, that's when I started, yes.
So in 2011 you were a moderator, and then at some point you became the administrator.
2013.
2013. So we started the forum in 2012. I started the blog to have more ability to communicate immediately with people. In 2015, I started working with Jamie at Enigmatic Nomadic on his website, on his YouTube channel, and he and I worked together for 6 to 8 months, and then we separated. And in 2016, that was 2015. In 2016, I started my own YouTube channel, Cheap RV Living, and that exploded, of course, and that's why we're sitting here today. And 2018, now we're making up to date. We're making announcements for this year. First, let me say the caravans are going great guns. I'm fully expecting the caravans to start in September or October. We will start caravans, and that will be a place for you to leave home and go and join a group of people and travel with them every 2 weeks. This isn't about the caravans, but I want you to know it's coming up. It's for sure. What this video is about is the nonprofit. And we are here we're not announcing it, we're in the early stages. We have found, a friend came to us, it's not a friend, someone I didn't know, someone who has just retired and become an RVer, came to us and said, I would love to help you start your nonprofit. And everything fell in place. That's the thing about the whole history of the CRVO over the last 14 years. Things fell into place. Everything was right. The time was right. And so then I took that step. And each year along the timeline, it was the right time, and we took that step. And this is the right time. I'm committed to this. I've burned the boats. I've burned the bridges. We're starting a nonprofit.
Yep.
Right?
Yes, we are starting a nonprofit.
We are starting a nonprofit. And so we want to introduce that. And so Suanne, I think I kind of covered real briefly your history with CRVL. Anything you want to add to that?
Well, perhaps just to let you know that my work has been volunteer. I really appreciate Bob offering multiple times to pay me, multiple times, and I have declined that. So just to let you know that even though I've put in some hours and really enjoy working for the forum, it has been volunteer work, as has been the women's RTR work that also started in 2018.
Right. So that one of the videos I put out with Suanne,
just recently,
was to show you one of the things and that's one of the very first things you've done in front of the public that they knew about.
It has been.
So that kind of raises the question, what are your credentials to be the executive director of a nonprofit?
Sure. Well, I'll just kind of cut to the chase and give you my last degree was I have a master's in education from Western Washington University in the year 2000, and my field was adult education administration. My last job, I worked in the community and technical college system for 25 years, held 6 different positions. Two-thirds of that was at a community college, but the last third was at the statewide level in the state capitol for the governing agency. And my position was Director of Online and Distance Education. And some similarities to the nonprofit that people might want to know is we did have a board of trustees, and I was considered staff to the board and had some opportunities to interact with them. And as executive director, of course, I will be following the direction of the board of the nonprofit. So that is very similar. Of course, managed a budget, had a staff. One kind of MO of my whole career is that all but 2 of those 6 positions were positions that were either developed for me or were brand new positions that had never existed before. So I got the opportunity to actually create a department or a division. And that, of course, is what we're doing here.
It is, exactly. I guess we should make clear that we're talking about a 501c3.
Yes.
An official federal government, IRS approved nonprofit.
Public, it's considered a public charity.
Yes.
Yes.
And so, really, once you've worked with the bureaucracy and you've pulled out all your hair the first time,
right.
then you've just developed a kind of the mindset of the bureaucracy.
Right.
And also, what you mentioned about working for the board of directors, an essential part of an IRS-approved 501c3 is that it's an independent group run by a board of directors.
Exactly. That will be separate and apart from Cheap RV Living.
Yes.
2 different organizations altogether.
And so it will have its own record-keeping requirements and openness requirements. Money given to a 501c3 should be transparent to everyone that wants to see it.
Exactly.
And that's so working with your board of directors is really critical.
Very critical.
Yeah,
yes.
Because they're actually, it's no longer me, it's us.
Right.
And that's one of the key things we're doing with the 501c3. And it should give you assurance that when you give money to it, or whoever gives money to it, that you can find out how it was spent and how it's been treated. So I guess here's the big question that I have. Is you've been in the background, you probably worked a little harder than you wanted to, but not, wasn't so bad.
Yeah, no, it was fun.
And now you're putting yourself into a more than full-time job. And and you're going to keep doing the things you have been doing. They're not going away suddenly.
Right, right.
Hopefully, well, maybe we can bring someone in to do some of them. But why are we doing this to ourselves? I'm retired, you're retired. We're killing ourselves.
Great question. So I'm just going to kind of give you some personal information about me, because it really, there really is no logical reason. It really comes from the heart. So I will say I'm going to kind of like start from the beginning of my young adulthood, and the first 5 years out of high school, before I started my family. I worked for a nonprofit, faith-based organization, a ministry, and a Christian ministry. And as part of that, I really felt I had a calling, and it wasn't anything really specific, but just a calling to serve. And really, that has stayed with me all through my life, and certainly been a guiding principle in the jobs that I applied for and then eventually got. And then when I had a family, I went through some dark times, and part of the result of that is that I was in a position of needing help. And I did seek and get help from government. I was on welfare. I was in Section 8 housing. I got help from individual nonprofit agencies, as well as individuals. I will, my entire life, be eternally grateful for that. I couldn't have made it without that help, and I want to give back. And it's not a giving back that is a sense of obligation, but it really is a giving back that is a sense of sharing the wealth. So much was given to me that I just, in some ways, just want to give back so that others can get kind of that hand up that I really got, and that was so important to me during that time of life. Because I was living and continuing actually to live, although it's not right out in front like it used to be, a faith-based life. I really looked to my higher power and to my God for direction, and kind of a pivotal kind of aha moment for me was recognizing that this almighty, all-powerful God that loves me so unconditionally, that is made our beautiful planet and earth. He also made me, and he made not just me, but the desires of my heart inside of me. And that if to be true to God is to be true to the desires of my heart, and to be true to the desires of my heart is to be true to my God. So that, as soon as I realized that, it just made sense to me. I could just pay attention to what God was saying in my heart and follow that direction. And so that's been just a really foundational piece that I look to whenever I have questions about what's next in my life, and certainly for this position as executive director. So one of the desires of my heart, one of the things that make me happy, is I love facilitating people to reach their potential, to find out what they're good at, to find out what they love, to help them be successful in getting there. And then last, I kind of want to say, even though it's probably obvious, that I absolutely adore and love this van dwelling lifestyle. It is my heart to be out in nature, to be out at the very basis of God's creation. Just makes me feel full and happy. And as we were talking earlier, to be with other people that feel that same way, and to have that kinship and bond and friendship has just been wonderful. And it really is something that brought healing to my own life. I entered this lifestyle just intuitively knowing that that's what I needed to do when my daughter passed in 2008, to just drive down those roads that paralleled or was a metaphor for the journey of walking through grief and the different phases that you go through. So I am looking forward to using all those really important aspects of myself to really facilitate individuals to also enjoy and grow and love and be fulfilled and happy in this lifestyle.
So that's why we're doing this. That's why we're putting ourselves through all this extra work. Okay, what's next? So specifically, why are we starting? What is the goal of starting the nonprofit?
Okay. Well, it's actually pretty simple. On one hand, we have lots of people with needs. Both Bob and I get emails from people with just heart-wrenching stories, and you just want to help them, but have no way, or very little way at this point. And on the other hand, we're getting contacted by people that want to provide help, and that help could be in terms of money, or it could be they have skills, or they have expertise they want to teach, or they have an RV they want to give away. So we, as in this nonprofit, will provide the mechanism to make that happen, to hook up the resources with those in need.
There's an awful lot of money out there available for nonprofits outside of our community. There's a lot of money within our community, and I'm really grateful that we're funneling so much of that to people in need. But outside of our community, I mean, there are really wealthy people and foundations that would love to support us, but you have to be a nonprofit. And so we want to take that money wherever it is and put it, the people in need with the people with money together. That's our job.
Right. So I know right now you get people that give you money to disperse or some sort of goods. But why isn't that good enough now?
Right. Well, that's a really good question, and people ask me that. Why go through the hassles of 501c3? And they're a hassle.
There are hassles.
They are a hassle. It's going to be a nightmare getting this thing running and then the paperwork afterwards. Well, there's actually some really good reasons. Most of us can't even use our charitable deductions, so that doesn't matter to us. If there's a wealthy individual who wants to make a large donation to our nonprofit, then he's going to want a tax deduction, or he'll give it to someone else. And so being a 501c3 allows us to approach other foundations who fund charities and wealthy individuals. Also, there are a surprising number of people in RVs that are wealthy, and that they live in their RVs for a while, and then when they're done, they sell their RVs. Well, for a lot of them, it's almost as profitable to them to donate it, get the donation, the tax deduction, as to go through the effort of selling it. So we might can find people who will simply give us RVs that we can pass along to people in need, or sell and pass along to people in need. But they were not going to do it if they don't get the tax deduction. So being an official 501c3 makes this available to a large group of people with a large amount of money to donate. But another big reason is right now people write me and say, Bob, I need some money. I'm in this situation, and I send them the money. Well, I'm not getting a tax deduction for that, but more so, if you give money, and now one of the things we're going to do is all the money from Patreon will go towards the nonprofit, and eventually you'll get a tax deduction for it, but not now because we're not officially a 501c3. So all the money that comes in from Patreon, I'm paying taxes on that. And so not only am I not getting a tax deduction for the money I'm giving, I'm paying. Someone gives me money, I gives it to someone else, I pay taxes on that money. And my tax rate's probably 20%. And so we're throwing that 20% away. That could be going to someone to help them, and it's not. It's going to the government. Well, that only doesn't even make sense. So that's a good reason, is I'm paying taxes on the money you give me, and then I don't get a deduction. I don't even get an expense. It's not even a business expense. If I send you $100 because I like you, I'm not getting a business expense out of that. It's completely wasted. That is not good economics in the long run. Another really important reason that we need to start it as an official 501c3 rather than just give money away is transparency, and we've discussed that. That you can look the tax records up, you can see our records, you know how we're spending your money. You're not just giving money to Bob, and Bob, well, I promised to give it to someone else. Oh, but I need a new yacht this year. Next year I'll give it away, and this year I'll buy a new yacht.
Right.
Well, then you know that's not happening. I hope you know that's not happening, but you'll know it as an absolute fact once we're a 501c3.
Right.
There'll be a money trail on all the money. And probably the most important reason for me is so that my work outlives me. If I've done all this work, created the YouTube channel, created Cheap RV Living, and I die, and I'm going to die, and there's no question about that, that could be tomorrow. And I live my life like it will be tomorrow. So if it doesn't outlive me, then I feel like I've just kind of wasted it all. I mean, I'm really grateful for all the people I've helped up till now, but how much better if it can outlive me and be beyond me. It doesn't need to be about me. And so the 501c3 does that. It's independent of me. We'll create a board. The board will make the final decisions. You'll be the executive director, and who will take the decisions of the board and hopefully formulate the decisions a little bit. But it's their final decision, and you'll make it happen. And together as co-founders, we'll both be co-founders, we create the vision. And hopefully we will have done it in such a way that the vision will outlive us. And our work will outlive us. And I think that's a really big reason why the 501c3 is critically important.
Makes important sense, right.
So really, you're going to be taking on, you've been busy all up to now, and you're going to take on not only just a full-time job, but a more than full-time job. I mean, being an creating the nonprofit, setting it up, and then running it is going to be an enormous job.
Yes.
Where are you going to find time for all that?
Well, a good question.
Yeah.
I am looking for an assistant. We are looking for an assistant, actually, to join our team. And just as Bob has brought in KC, I'm looking to clone KC and have somebody do very similar kinds of work, as well as maybe expand it a little bit.
Right. So actually, that's one of the main reasons we're doing this video is because we're looking to hire someone, and we're putting out a cry for assistance. So right now, let me introduce to you my new assistant, KC, who has become, I'm completely dependent upon her to be my brain power, which is quickly fading in my old brain. So KC, why don't you come on in, and we'll introduce you, and you can tell people what we're looking for. KC, say hi to everyone.
Hello.
So KC's been working with me for 2 to 3 months and has just revolutionized my life. I mean, I'd reached the absolute point where I could add nothing new, and I always want to add new things and do more. And I wasn't keeping up with all the things that were on my plate, so to speak. But KC has come in, and she keeps me moving, and she's my memory, because my memory's not very good, and she just has revolutionized my life. And I think when I saw how much better it went for me, and I think you saw too.
Oh, very much so. Yes.
How much easier it was. We both got the idea that if we brought in an assistant for you, it might be possible to do a nonprofit. So really, KC is the only reason we're even doing this, is because she has done such a tremendously good job, and that if we can get someone who will do the same job for Suanne, between the four of us and this other lady who's helping us, we can really make this thing work.
Yes. Yeah.
So KC, you are the model executive assistant that we want.
Yes.
She really is. I'm not making that up.
Really
and so we want to tell you what we're looking for an executive assistant, and we want you to apply. We've created a Gmail account that you can apply at. This is an actual job listing. So tell people the job you do and so that's what we're looking for.
Okay, so thank you both very much. I really appreciate that. So what I do is I schedule facilitate and organize meetings for Bob, and I manage that communication through email, through video, and phone calls, both with the development of the nonprofit, film crews, and other people who are working with you within Cheap RV Living. I use a lot of different types of technology, so it would probably be great for someone to be very well versed in technology. And then I manage and create and edit our online presence in terms of social media. And I also assist with camera, video, drone work, and I travel with Bob. So I know some of these things are really are similar to what you need, Suanne, but some are not. So what kind of things do you need?
Well, I think certainly the scheduling, keeping me on track would be great. The organization, wonderful. The ability to work with us as a team will be key. I think in terms of the technology is also key, but maybe different than what you're doing, or definitely different than what you're doing. I currently am responsible for the forum and the website. The website is based in WordPress, and we do have a webmaster, so I would need somebody that could talk the lingo and understand the rudimentary technology behind that. And we have the forum. I wouldn't expect somebody to know MyBB, but I am looking for somebody that would have the ability to learn and work with me and the moderators, and perhaps even some of the people that post and ask questions behind the scenes by email. And then because we're looking for a team member, I would like somebody that would travel with us. And typically that's going to be in the desert Southwest in the winter, and probably in the Pacific Northwest for the foreseeable future when the weather's nice here.
Right.
Then the last piece of it is, of course, the nonprofit. Somebody that can, if you don't already know it, somebody that can learn the ins and outs with this.
It would be wonderful if they had background in it.
It would be great, but I think somebody that is a quick, persistent learner like Casey is. She may not know something, but she's doggedly learns it. So that's what we're looking for. If you are interested, the email to write that you're interested to is vandwellernonprofit@gmail.com. That's a singular Van Dweller, so it's VANDWELLERNONPROFIT@gmail.com. And Casey set that up. So that's the kind of things that you would be doing.
Among many.
Among many.
Now finally, the last thing we need your help with is a name. We may have a name we like, but you may have the perfect name. Okay, so there you have it. We are definitely in the process of starting a nonprofit. You've met Suanne and KC, who are critical elements. This would not happen without them. We're asking for someone who wants to work for us. So we've given you that address. Let's give them the email address again.
Okay, the email address for somebody that wants to work as an assistant, as well as your nonprofit name suggestions, is vandwellernonprofit@gmail.com. For the name suggestions, we're on a fast track here, so we would like to get those by the 8th of August, please. We're excited and we're ready to move.
Right. That has been the big holdup. We have to have a name before we can do anything else.
Right.
So we've got to get that going. Well, folks, thanks so much for listening to this. I know it was very long, and I hope you made it here to the very end. And if you did, thank you so much. I hope that you will like us on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you later.